How do you do it? How do you manage to have a successful business on less than 28 hours a week?
I think you have to call me the lazy girl. I am the official lazy girl who launches. And the way that I run my business is that I've leveraged passive income and automation.
What does that mean?
So when millennials create businesses now, we use technology. And so you'll find that lots of millennials are really into working remotely and the digital age. So what I've done is created a business that allows me to sell products and services online and not necessarily have to fulfill them all myself all of the time live.
Do you work a 5-day week?
No, so I work Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and I take Mondays and Fridays to do my own
And how
thing.
many hours do you work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
So generally 5 to 6 hours a day.
About 5 or 6 hours. From your perspective then, looking at it from the inside, why do you think it is that in this country generally we are working longer hours but getting less done than other countries that work much shorter hours but are more efficient? What's going wrong?
Well, it's actually a really interesting concept because historically countries have liked to work longer hours. I come from a corporate background, I come from corporate sales, and there it was really important to have your face in front of the right people all day, every day, so that you could get the promotions and the opportunities.
First in the office, last to leave, all of that.
Exactly, and it was like, that was where you put your reps in. But what's happened is the world started to change. We've realised that people aren't as productive. It's proven that your brain can only actually focus for 4 hours a day. And so what's happening is people are ending up sat at their desk, they're not productive, they're not working, and you're not getting as much out of that person.
You say that, Jessica, but I actually read your website, and you were talking about how when you actually left your job where you were working like a dog, you then set up your own business, but you actually worked for 3 months doing your other job as well. And then eventually your business began to grow, but all that time you were working way more than 28 hours. So I think that actually what you're saying...
I wasn't. If you look at the website,
I did read
explains that I didn't work longer in my business. And so
but
from
you were
historically...
Working, but when you set it up, I think that what you're... I mean, look, there are different jobs, and some jobs will require you to work a set number of hours. So looking at your particular business, your model was built whilst you were actually doing another job.
All right, sorry, OK, well, she's going to argue that. But from your perspective, why do you think... I mean, it's a fact that we work the longest hours in Europe and we get less done. What's going wrong? Well,
I think, actually, if you look at the different industries within the different countries, so, for example, if you look at Denmark, apparently it's 37 hours compared to our 42. In Denmark, that is about 60% of the industry is agricultural-based, whereas here, we're very service-based. So, you know, we're banking, we're healthcare, we're doing things where actually you can't get out of not doing the hours. So, you know, if a surgeon...
But do you think we make rocks for our own back? Do you think, as I said at the opening there, do you think that we're still in the grip of this old-fashioned British Puritanism?
Yes.
You know, that you know, work is freedom, work is truth, work is its own reward.
I think what's happening here is people are making the assumption that actually when you're working you're not enjoying yourself. For me, coming to work is actually a bit of a break. In my household, I have a 1.5-year-old and a 10-year-old, and when I'm there, even when I get home, I'm working. When I get to work, it's an escape.
Especially in the Middle East holidays,
it's an escape.
They can identify with that. But why do you work so hard? Have you tried working less?
I work hard because...
What do you do, by the way?
I work, so I work at the BBC, I work as a presenter and reporter, news reporter, but I also run my own fitness business. And, you know, for me...
And how many hours of work... sorry, how many hours a day do you work?
I would say... I mean, I'm going to count this as work. I mean, I'm presuming you're going to count this as work, or you're not going to count it. I mean, I think for hours a day, I probably work about maybe 7, 8.
How much sleep do you get?
Depends what time I go to bed.
Roughly?
About 6 or 7, maybe 8 hours of sleep.
Oh, that's all right. Okay.
Yeah, so for me, the work, because I don't believe that if you don't work hard, you won't get far. I think you have to work hard to get far.
And if you look at measured on time, like I would hasten to say that if you are somebody who can be super productive for 4 hours and get just as much done as somebody who can do it in 9, surely it's actually smarter. It's better for your health. You get more time to exercise. You have more time to spend with your family. You have more time for self-care. And these are things that we're not prioritising. I mean, if you look at Lloyd's Banking Group, for example, their chief economist only works 3 days a week. Yet, arguably, he has one of the most stringent...
I think there's a point, isn't there? We've all been in offices.
You have to work hard. So this is great if you've worked, you know, you've worked like a dog for years and then eventually get to the point where you can ease off.
Well, there's some people that would argue, though, that actually the mindset of pacing is what helps you get to the top.
And setting the boundary in the first place.
Especially actually, you look at Silicon Valley, a lot of the people there say that actually working less allows them to look at the world and think freely. So we've all worked in offices, haven't we, in spaces where, you know, people come in, they make a cup of tea, they sit down, they read the horoscopes and all of that. I think there's an awful lot of that, isn't there, that goes on, so that people say, I was here, but were they working?
Well, I think it depends where you want to be in that particular environment. If you're the person that gets in at 9 o'clock and leaves at 5 and everyone knows you're that person, then you tend to not get as far as the person who will go above and beyond. And
but
I think
that fair?
With the fair, I don't really think fair comes into it. It's
but
up
it
to
does,
you.
because
it's
if you're smart,
if you're
smart and you're using your time wisely, why should I be penalised because somebody else is slower than I am? If I'm actually achieving more for that company, if I'm making them more money, if I'm making them more productive in less time, surely I'm a more valuable resource than that person.
I mean, that's an interesting point, because a lot of people
don't
don't have choice about how long they work.
No.
And actually, they might feel that they'd like to work less hours, and then there's no choice about it.
And that's a culture shift that needs to happen.
A lot of people are coming in on this on Twitter. Thanks for your messages. Scott says, I think a 3-day weekend is the way forward. We'd work harder on the 4 days that we had to be there. And a lot of people are saying a version of this. This is Paul on Twitter. You work to live, not live to work. Balance is the key. A lot of people are saying that.
But if you're doing something you enjoy, then you don't work a day in your life. And I think that, I mean, if you look at someone like Grant Cardone, he said that he's an American, he's got a big business, he's a really rich, successful businessman, and he basically says that, you know, his 9 to 5 is actually 95 hours a week.
Well, what's the American expression? The harder I work, the luckier I get.
I think so, and I do believe that yes, it's true, you could squeeze it all, and I've tried it myself. I've gone, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this last, I'm going to do this job within 3 hours. I've done the job within 3 hours, which normally could have taken me 5. I'm knackered by the end of it, and I actually spend more time in recovery from squeezing it all in, and actually the accuracy of the job and the job that I'm doing isn't usually as good. So I think sometimes spending more time on something...
you know, it depends on how you train your brain, because if you think about it, if science says the average human brain cannot focus for longer than 4 hours, you have to accept that, and you have to start teaching people how to behave and how to train themselves to be
We've
more
run out of time, I'm afraid, so we can all take a break now.
Thanks both for having, and have a good day.
Thank you very much.